dynamic violence,
savage action,
spectacular thrills.
Godzilla, king of the monsters.
So where did Godzilla come from? Honda was so affected by seeing the destruction in Hiroshima that it haunted him. When they finally decided to do this monster picture in 1954, Honda created Godzilla to be an allegory that was anti-war. According to Honda, who sort of created the character, what we see as fire, it is actually akin to radioactive fallout. He's breathing like the power of the H-bomb. Why has Godzilla endured for so long? A lot of kids love dinosaurs. And what's better than a superpowered dinosaur? And that's exactly what Godzilla is. After like 6 decades, there's a lot of freaking Godzilla movies, and they're not all the same. Everybody might have the opinion, people who aren't fans, that, you know, when you've seen one giant monster picture, you've seen them all. But with the Godzilla films, they've all thematically been different. Godzilla was always evolving, changing with the times to suit the audiences of the time. The second Godzilla was rushed into production, Godzilla Raids Again, not to really cash in, but to, you know, yeah, it was done to cash in. But they still kept it kind of like serious. They added another monster to it, which kind of established the monster versus monster format. And then they took a break because they started doing other films at Toho Studios, like Rodan, Ran, and then you get Mothra, and so on. And you get into the 60s, and you have entertainment pictures. So right off the bat with King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962, it is made for mass audiences. It becomes a huge hit. Then you get to the next film in 64, and it's Godzilla vs. the Thing, or Mothra vs. Godzilla. Later that same year, they release Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. And then they decide, we're gonna wrap it up. Audiences were declining for Japanese motion pictures. Theaters were closing down, studios were closing down theaters as audiences were pulled away by television. And they decided to do one last blowout picture, which is Destroy All Monsters in 68. And they decide to retire Godzilla. Unfortunately, a year later, because another studio is doing these kiddie matinee pictures, packages rather, with one feature film and a bunch of different cartoons and whatnot to keep kids busy while their parents were shopping, Toho decided to emulate that and use their biggest star for children, and they brought Godzilla back for a series of kids movies. Then you get into Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster in 71, environmental, going back to an environmental theme. Then they introduced Mechagodzilla in 74 for the 20th anniversary of the Godzilla series. The movies, again, were declining. Television was more popular with these types of things like Japanese superhero programs. And they did one last Godzilla picture, brought Honda back, did a more straight-faced Godzilla, and wrapped up the series in the 70s. And then you come back in the 80s with Return of Godzilla, which was made in 84, brought to the States as Godzilla 85. And then you have a number of films follow it. That wrapped up in 1995 to make way for the American film done by Roland Emmerich. And then we got, you know, the tiger from Jungle Book as a big iguana. And that sank like a brick. And when that wasn't successful, they decided to bring him back for Godzilla 2000. That launched another series of pictures through 2004. Unfortunately, it wound up ending with Godzilla Final Wars in 2004, which is probably the most abominable picture that I ever had the horror of witnessing. I hate that movie. Can I say that on TV?